This week on Motorhead Garage, the Motorhead crew repairs rusted panels, stiffens subframes, lifts tops, and gets down and creepy. Next on Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting.
Welcome to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. Well, we got a great show in store for you today, and how can I say that? Well, look at this beauty, man. We're talking about a 1986 C10 pickup truck that's immaculate from the front all the way to the back. And this thing's pushing a LS motor that has over 500 horsepower. But you know that 500 horsepower doesn't do you much good unless you have a chassis and suspension to get it to the ground. That's why I'm here with Rob from No Limit Engineering. Now, Rob, you got a masterpiece here, man. This is a piece of work. Tell us about your actual chassis and suspension system.
Well, thanks, Sean. And under Bill's truck here is a chassis that we built for him, very similar to this chassis. This one's for a 56 Ford. We build chassis for 47, 48 post-war stuff all the way up into the 80s for Fords and Chevys and Dodges, things like that. We start off, our front suspension is our No Limit Wide Ride IFS. It's kind of a wider track than most suspensions for bigger cars and trucks. Long travel Ride Tech shocks are standard. Everything is kind of packaged. We forge our own spindle to get the geometry correct so the roll centers match the weights of a pickup. They have a nice concentric for the alignment so that the caster and camber is isolated from one another. Rack and pinion steering. This one has a little extra built in here. This is a motor mount setup for a Ford FE side oiler that's going to go in this one.
Nice, and the motor mounts, they can vary in the front as well.
We build them whatever the customer wants. They tell us the motor and trans package and we build it to fit.
Perfect. Hey, let's move down. Like I said, you know, the horsepower, you got to get it to the ground. You can't have this chassis flexing, man. This looks like it's not going to move.
No, we do a lot of work to stiffen up our chassis and a lot of engineering work. So most of our chassis are built with an X-member system like this. The earlier pickups that had chassis mounted brake systems like the F100s, we have the pedals in it, clutch pedal if it's required. But really making the chassis rigid so that the chassis stays stiff, the body stays still, and the suspension does the work, that's the key. And we've tested all the factory chassis and our chassis and some of our competitors, and we can tell you that ours are the strongest chassis on the market.
Yeah, it actually shows here, no problem. I mean, in the rear end, no different. I mean, everything looks stout. These are some man-sized control arm bars and whatnot.
Yeah. This is a standard rear suspension for us called a fat bar setup. It's what we use on our chassis, and we can sell this as a package to somebody that wants to install it on one of theirs. They're longer bars than you would normally see, and they have a geometric point that identifies the instant center and the anti-squat, so we can make the trucks hook up, we can make them roll out of a corner on the throttle. They don't have any chatter in the brake. Outboard coilovers make it very stable. And we use a very long, low-mounted panhard bar in the rear to keep the axle from shifting and keeps the roll center nice and slow, so the truck is really, really smooth.
Yeah, it looks smooth. It looks awesome. Rob, you actually got a project here in Motorhead Garage, and Brian's working on it now. Let's check in with him.
John's right. We do have an innovative product, which is something to say when we're talking about a first-gen Camaro like the 67 RS. Rob, you've developed a way to actually stiffen this car up a little bit that's different than the commonly used subframe connector. So first thing I want to hear about is how your side rail stiffener installs.
Well, it's a pretty easy install. There is a little welding, but it's mostly just drilling holes and putting bolts in. What we're trying to do is grab the pinch weld of the rocker, which is the strongest structural part of the car, and really tie it into the subframe, and if there's a subframe connector, into the connector.
So we're talking about, you guys provide everything you need in terms of the material and the fasteners. The only welding is just the final tabs, correct?
The final tabs, right.
And now, why is this a better solution than a normal subframe connector?
Well, a subframe connector is really just grabbing the back of the original subframe and tying it into maybe the floor, if it's just weld in, or the pickup point of the leaf spring. So it doesn't have anything to do to stiffen up the rest of the car. So what we want to do is grab all the way from the A pillar at the front door hinge to the B pillar, the back door hinge, and the suspension mounting points, and take the rocker, which was the strongest structural part of the car, and tie it into everything else.
Rob, you're a dyed-in-the-wool autocrosser. You've been out there with your Hellboy truck and everything else you've done. So you understand the fact that there are guys that want the full custom chassis, and then there are guys that want to dip their toe in the pond, get their car stiffened up a little bit, and start to feel that performance, right?
Yeah, and I think this is a good product for a lot of, bolt-together cars and kind of middle-of-the-road cars. It stiffens the car up nice. It makes it ride and drive nice and smooth. It adds some side impact collision strength to the car. and it cleans up the sight line on the bottom of the car. So it's kind of a win-win all the way around.
Win-win. That's what this guy does. Rob McGregor, No Limit Engineering. Check him out on the web. We'll be back with more Motorhead Garage presented by Dustless Blasting right after this.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting, is brought to you by Mag High Tech, differential covers and transmission pans. Axiom Precision Machine, build better stuff. Danmar Equipment, now you see it, now you don't. And by Dustless Blasting, it's the future of surface preparation.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. Now, one of our favorite things to have here in the shop are Jeeps, just like this Sahara here. Now, with Jeeps, you want to have fun, and with that comes taking the top off and the doors. Now, to take the doors off, that's really easy. You just pop them off. Problem, where do you actually store them? Well, Top Lift Pros actually has a solution right here, this door storage unit. And you can see it's as simple as just putting them on there, putting this down, bam, they're secure. They're not going anywhere. You can actually see the construction's really stout. You got the casters and the track down there, and you have a very narrow footprint. That's important because you can put 4 doors on it, and you can store it between cars or against the garage wall. Now, the top, on the other hand, that poses a whole new set of problems. I'm here with Fred. Fred, before I had to get a bunch of guys around here, I had to pick it up, or some crazy system to get it off. These things are expensive. How did you come up with this system here to take the top off? Tell me about that.
Well, a little over 6 years ago, I had a hoist system and it failed on me, and I had to come up with another idea to help take the top off by myself. And to me, a hoist system just wasn't doing that job. So
no, it's not. I mean, it looks like a complex system, and it's really not. Take us through the construction. I mean, all the way from the bottom to the top. I mean, I see you got casters on it and everything.
So we have 4-inch casters that helps roll across concrete with some dirt, granules, whatever, even small gravel. And then we have paver systems throughout Florida, California. So this system will work very efficiently with that. And then going from there, we have a powder coating system where we have a texture on the base, and then we have a solid color powder coating on the top. And then we have rubber bumpers. We have a total gear system with springs and everything. You know, it's just going to stay right on here the most stable way possible.
Now, it's also adjustable. I mean, some Jeeps may be lifted or lowered. I mean, is there an option there for me to make adjustments?
Absolutely. So we can make adjustments when your Jeep is lifted through the system here. So you can raise it, lower it, and then also for storing, you can go pretty high. So, and you clear anything, and then you can lower it back down going through.
I see that working. I mean, you're on this actual ratcheting system. I mean, go ahead, do it one more time. You're pulling the handle.
Right. So you're just going to ratchet up.
And it's
very
secure.
simple.
So actually what we're going to do is we're going to actually wheel that thing in. You're going to pick it up. It's going to touch the top of the Jeep and secure it?
Yes.
Awesome. Why don't you show it to us in action? Bring it in here.
Okay.
Now you're going underneath there, so you got the height clearance, right?
Yes.
And you're actually going up to the top. Wow. I mean, that's it. You're pulling it out.
That's it. And so
just that easy.
That's right. And it's on there, and it's not going anywhere.
Now, I know it's pretty easy. I mean, I've used it. I actually see it. I see that it's secure as all get out. I mean, you're not going to have a problem there. The winch and the hoist system's not good.
Right.
What's the feedback? What are you guys getting from actual customers? That's where the proof is.
Right. Our customers love it. For the fact is, it's the best money ever spent. And number 2, it's the easiest system they've ever used once they've gotten it. And then 3 is the quality. So the quality is very important. So that's why we pay close attention to our quality.
Well, that's huge. I mean, if I get a couple of buddies over, I obviously got to buy them a pizza. I mean, I got to plan this whole event. Sometimes I just want to go out in the Jeep. I want to use it. I want to have fun. But taking the top off, now I have to, you know, schedule guys to come over, or a winch system, or make sure it's secure, this whole 9 yards. I mean, no more, not with this.
Right. No, not at all. Matter of fact, most of our customer base, 65% of our customers are women. So we've helped many people take their tops off with just themselves. And that's the important thing, because it's now an unplanned event. And they can just, at the end of the day, go out, take the top off in 2 minutes or less, and be on their way.
Now let me ask you a question. I mean, once I got it off, I mean, I know a cable system could fall. This thing's $4,000 or more. I mean, with the paint job or not. How about storage? I'm seeing here it's super sturdy. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere, but I mean, what's some suggestions for storage while it's there?
Storage, you just take it, put it in your garage, and you drive your Jeep straight in under it, and you can pretty much touch the front bumper to the back legs, and you lose probably 3 inches in front of your front bumper.
Wow.
And that's it. And as you can see, you can close your top. So.
Yep, and it's not going anywhere, so it's secure as all get out. I mean,
Yep.
you don't have a problem.
Nope. And we have the support rails that go on the front for the storage after you have your top propped up.
Well, that's awesome. Well, you know what? It's just as easy to put back on. Just wheel it back on, bam, clip it on. You can go ahead and get started. We're going to take a short break. Stick around. There's plenty more Motorhead Garage when we return right after this break.
The dustless blasting system uses water mixed with an eco-friendly abrasive to remove even the toughest coatings, like powder coat, undercoat, body filler, and heavy rust.
I don't think there's anything out there on the market that it can't take off.
To learn how dustless blasting can save money in an existing business or to start your own mobile paint stripping business, check out dustlessblasting.com/TV.
We actually strip chrome, which is insane, powder coating, which is also hard to believe. Dustless blasted, went right through it, no problems at all.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting, coming to you from Borla Commerce Park.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. Frequent viewers of the show have seen the name Magic Creeper in the shop before, and with good reason. It's one of the most handy products we have. We use it here to get under some low vehicles. We have it in our trucks, in our cars, in our transport vehicles, RVs, you name it. The Magic Creeper has a spot in your life. Brittany from Magic Creeper, the concept here is really simple, but lay it out for us again.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. So the Magic Creeper is just a wheelless mechanics creeper. It comes rolled up, easy to store. It's lightweight. You can take it with you, put it in any vehicle, boat, truck, anywhere that you might need to get underneath something. It has a protective coat on the outside to keep it oil and water resistant.
Yeah, so if I'm working on something and I got transmission fluid on it or oil, I can literally wipe it off and be on to the next job.
Yeah, just a simple degreaser will take oil right off.
One of the neat things you guys have done is also kind of a packaging deal here. You have a kit that you can get Magic Creeper, with or without the extra products in here, but kind of a roadside rescue kit, if you will.
Yeah, so the emergency kit is just something that every person should have in their car. Your basic essentials are in there, your bungee cords, jumper cables, flashlight, toolkit, things like that. That you might need in the event of an emergency, as well as the Magic Creeper.
So Brittany, I have our stunt Magic Creeper here that we're going to roll out under our F-150. What are some best practices to using this properly?
Yeah, so Brian, when you get it out of the package, it's actually folded up, so we recommend you roll it in between each use, clean it obviously in between each use, and store it this way. You'll roll it out underneath the car, and then you'll sit on the edge of it, kind of scoot yourself forward, and this gives you the most travel.
Wow. Yeah, I'm all the way into the drive shaft on this thing, and I have plenty of room. I can actually go side to side, front to back. I have my flashlight that kind of traveled in and out with me, so if I have tools, I can do that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you had long hair, it wouldn't get caught in any of the wheels.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I guess, is the fact that, well, our shop floor is nice and level. This thing is probably going to be functional on almost any type of surface, right?
Yeah, it works on grass, gravel, dirt, any surface. If you had cracks in the concrete, you're not getting hung up on anything. It goes right over air hoses, nuts, bolts.
And because of the fact that I am obviously not a spring chicken, I'm not a guy who's missed many lunches here, and I can glide back and forth on this, heavy objects could also be moved on this, right?
Absolutely. There's virtually no weight limit. It just takes a little bit of force to push whatever object is on the Magic Creeper, so you can use it to move cement bags in and out of the back of a truck. I've even had one customer put it underneath a tarp and pull bark out of the back of his truck.
Oh, wow, okay.
So yeah, there are many uses for the Magic Creeper.
You know, one of the things that Magic Creeper is having to work with and kind of recognize now is threats to your intellectual property. Let's call it that way. You know, you guys have worked really hard on the patent and coming up with an original design here. People need to know that the Magic Creeper is the brand they need to buy, right?
Absolutely. The original Magic Creeper.
Fantastic. Whether you need one for the roadside with a full roadside assistance kit, whether you want one just to stick behind the seat of your car, the back of your truck, or put in the back of your SUV or RV, the Magic Creeper really is one of the most convenient, easy to use tools out there. So the bottom line is this: if you have a gearhead in your family, it's the holiday season. You're probably trying to figure out what to get them. Don't get them a gift certificate to some crummy place. Get them a Magic Creeper. Why? Because they'll use it all the time, whether they have it in their truck or their car when they're going down the road, or they use it in the shop when they're doing maintenance or working on their hot rod. It really is a very convenient thing for anybody who uses tools or is out on the road that may need to use tools to have in their possession. Last thing is this: www.magiccreeper.com is the website you want to go to make sure you're buying the real, authentic, patented Magic Creeper this is the product you want, and it works not only in the shop, but also on any surface you can think of. And to prove that, my man John Gardner's outside to show you how one works in the wild.
Well, Brian borrowed this Tacoma. Knowing him, he's going to want to do some off-roading a little bit later, so I gave it a test run. Pushed the button, nothing. Four-wheel drive's not working. I'd like to take a look at the transfer case. Maybe it's just something to do with the solenoid, but I have two problems. First of all, I'm not going to crawl under there on this gravel. That's going to tear me up, and I can't use a creeper because it's not going to roll over it. So I got the Magic Creeper out of the back of the truck. This makes it so easy. Just like they did inside the shop, you just take it out, roll it, send it under there, just like that. I'm going to get on the furthest part here, which is going to give me the most travel. Get down here, all the clearance in the world. I can get under here now and simply just roll. And I don't even feel the rocks. I'm going back and forth, no problem. I got travel here to the left and to the right, so I'm a little bit off the transfer case. It's right here, and you can look at it in the plugs, and that one looks a little loose. That may do it. Harness looks good. Everything looks fine on the transfer case. Maybe it's up in the front end, but that plug may have fixed it. But the key is getting under here on this surface, back and forth. Nothing to it on these hard rocks. I mean, it's simple. Well, I'll tell you, the Magic Creeper couldn't make it any easier. I'm going to make sure that this four-wheel drive's working so we can do some off-roading later. But we'll be back with more Motorhead Garage right after this break.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting, is brought to you by Stage 8 Fasteners, home of the world's best locking header bolt. Now included with each set of Cook's headers. Go to stage8.com. Fixed Automotive. Understand your car. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day on auto parts and accessories. And by Dustless Blasting. It's the future of surface preparation.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. You know, this F-150 sitting on the left behind me is a great truck. Runs really well, it goes down the road perfectly, it has a lot of life left in it. But there's a problem. It was starting to show some pretty bad signs of rust in the cab corners, and if you've ever owned a pickup truck and you live in a cold weather climate like I do, you know that the cab corners on trucks are basically the first thing to go. Rocker panels also a kind of a quick second behind the cab corners. I'm here with Zach from Quick Covers by OAM, and Zach, you guys have developed kind of an alternative rust repair method for body shops to make repairs on trucks like this that are showing signs of rust. So what am I looking at here?
Yeah, body shops, DIYers, this is a plastic cover. It's molded to mimic the OEM design and really reduce the labor required to make that look new again.
So, you know, in the past and even mostly in the present, you go to a body shop, they look at this, they go, okay, we're going to cut the whole corner of the cab off, we're going to replace most of the rocker. This is a much more specialized repair and I would guess more budget friendly.
Definitely. So we started in a body shop and we had the same problem. Customers came in, we quoted them $4,000 or $5,000 to weld in a set of cab corners and rockers, and it just was too expensive for most people. So this is what we call an alternative rust service. We are able to do it for a fraction of the price, and from a body shop's perspective, instead of a week or two in the shop, we can flip this in just a couple days.
Well, that's pretty great. Now, you mentioned it's a plastic cover. Now, when I look at these, I see that it obviously mimics the styling of the truck, but these are body colored right now because you painted them, correct? When someone would buy a set of these, they would not necessarily come the color of the vehicle.
Correct, yeah, they actually come unfinished, so make sure that you use a primer with a adhesion promoter intended for raw plastic and then a 2-part base coat clear coat.
Got the F-150 behind us. What else do you guys offer?
We've got them for Dodge trucks, we've got them for Chevys, we've got a couple SUVs, and we're releasing more product lines all the time.
So you started the repair already, so let's walk through the steps of what you've actually done. And obviously you cut the exposed or rusted area out of the corner of the cab, then kind of what happened after that?
Yeah, we want to get rid of all that nasty stuff because it's just going to spread. So we cut out all the rust, we came in with a rust inhibitor, and the key is to get it really coated on the back side as well as the front. We're trying to sort of seal off that metal to interrupt that chemical reaction of rust. So really apply that rust inhibitor thoroughly inside and out. We kind of removed some of the interior panels to clear the pinch flange, and we're ready for installation.
Okay, so I guess I'm going to grab one end, you'll grab the other, and we'll walk this over. It seems fairly straightforward, but talk to me about some tips here.
Yeah, each one kind of goes on its own special way. On these F-150s, we kind of start below and then rock it into place, being careful to kind of tuck it right underneath this rear door. And we start back a little ways, we'll get it up into place, and then I'll have you hold it there.
Sure.
And I'm going to come around and we'll tuck it under the front fender here. We're just going to pull down slightly on this front fender, and just push it forward. Yep.
Beauty. Nice. Okay.
And I'm going to grab this cab corner back here. I'm going to slide it your way just a little bit. And I'm going to kind of just fold this in, being mindful that I'm not scratching the paint. We'll get close there, and then actually reach up from behind, and I'll pull this tab a little bit.
Okay.
While pressing on it. And we should be able to just kind of slop right up into place.
Nice. Look at that. So once we have it obviously set up in this kind of mock position, how do we actually secure it?
Yeah, so we've got tape that's pre-taped across the top and along the front there. Before we do that, we're going to close the door and check fitment. We're going to hold it in place with some vice grips, and then we're going to pull all the tape. We'll come down below and put rivets about every 8 to 10 inches.
Let's do it. There you have it. Proof's right behind us. You know, you saw us removing the tape and kind of positioning the panel, but then after that, Zach, it wasn't rocket science, man. You lined it up, drilled the holes, chased the holes with a slightly larger bit, and then riveted the panel on.
Yeah, it goes pretty quick.
Goes really quick, and it looks factory fresh. I mean, it's great. That lower cab corner was mangled to start with. It's beautiful now. And that's all the time we have for this episode of Motorhead Garage presented by Dustless Blasting. We'll be back with more Motorhead Garage next week. And if you have a cool product that you want to see here in the Motorhead Garage shop, email Jeff at masterstv.com. Maybe we'll see you soon right here at the shop. We'll be back again next week.